Gotta go change drum heads today, so we're headed to the church to do that now. The next shot will be in the sanctuary, getting ready to change heads. Just got to the church. Now I gotta go grab the drum heads, pull the drums out of the cage, and start changing them. All right, now I'm gonna change the drum heads. Unscrewing these, there's not any technique. Just take the head off. My one tip would be to wear black, because one time I was changing drum heads and I had a white t-shirt on, and the grease from the lugs got on my shirt, and that's impossible to get off. So I wear black. And it's like the musician's like uniform, I think. Maybe. All right, now that I got the head off, I'm just gonna kinda go around and get the dust off the bearing edge, because this is what the drum head is gonna be on. This is the contact point with the head against the drum, so you want that to be clean. For this next part, I'm gonna switch to a chair. That way this bottom head will be muffled and I can just hear what's going on the top head. Cool. And once that is done, I'm gonna let this sit for 2 to 5 minutes so that the glue can continue to break, and then we'll bring the drum head tuning all the way down and actually tune the drum to where it's gonna sit. While we're waiting for that guy to stretch out, we'll start the same process on the floor tom. It's gonna be the same exact thing. We're just gonna take this drum head off. There's no exact science, just do it. And once this drum head's off, again, gonna wipe off all of the dust and stuff off the bearing edge so that the drum head can sit flat on the drum. Gotta get the drum head. And these are, I forgot to mention, these are both Remo Emperor coated heads. I like these just because they're dual ply. They last a long time, and there's no muffling, so I can control how much ringing I want the drums to do. Same thing as before. I'm gonna line the logo up with the badge of the drum. Make sure it's flat, and then put the rim back on. Try not to get the grease on the actual drum head. I've done that like 5 million times, and it's just on there forever. And then we're just gonna finger tighten. Typically what I'll do is I'll do different sides of the drum. That way I'm just finger tightening and the pressure on the drum head's being set evenly. It just saves some time when you're having to seat the drum head after this, in my experience. All right, now that the rim is on the drum head, we're gonna seat the drum again. This one I'm actually gonna stand on just because, why not? I pushed down on the other one and I'll stand on this one. All right, drum head is seated. I'm going through and finger tightening one more time. And then, same thing as before, we're gonna crank the lugs so that we can pop the glue. And again, I'm like getting these to where I can't move them with one finger anymore and then cranking them. Super tight, but we're popping the glue. That's the whole purpose of this. Now that this has had time to sit, we're gonna go ahead and bring it all the way down so there's not any tension. I'm not gonna take the lugs all the way off, basically just loosen it till you feel the drum head kind of release. All right, now it's basically just flabby. And now I'm gonna start by tuning the drum. I'll do 2 turns first and kind of see where that gets us. Sometimes just 2 turns is all you need and that's literally it. And sometimes 2 turns is too much. It literally just depends on the room, the drums, everything like that. That sounds really close actually. I'm gonna work on this. Sounds good to me for this drum. This is a 13-inch vintage drum, so we're gonna keep them on the lower side of things. Still producing a tone and a note, but it's not gonna be pitched way up like I would like a 10-inch tom or a 12-inch tom. For this guy, I just put him on the floor tom legs, and we're just gonna do it like that. Take it all the way down to where you feel the drum kind of release. And we're gonna bring it up about same 2 turns. So now what I'm gonna do, that's making the note that I want. And the whole purpose of this is to get them in a good place where they're producing the desired note. And now I'm gonna put them back in the drum cage and put mics on them and tune them from there. That way they're in the environment that they're actually gonna be played, because out here I'm gonna tune them differently than I would in a drum cage with microphones and everything else. So I gotta go put my in-ears on and turn the system on and everything else to show you what I'm gonna do. All right, so I am in the drum cage. Got the microphone set up on the drums. Microphones are basically pointed to the center where the stick is gonna hit. That's just like a standard placement for them. And now what I'm gonna do is I have my in-ears on, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tune the drums with in-ears on, that's right, going through the microphone so I can hear what the microphone is picking up. Because like for live stream stuff or recordings, that's what you're gonna be mixing, that's what you're gonna hear is what the microphone hears. So if I'm tuning to my ear in a drum cage and stuff like that, and it can be tricky to actually tune for a microphone. Hopefully that makes sense. So I'm literally just gonna start hitting the drum and like frequency sweep the drum to find the note that I wanna aim for. So to me that sounds good. I want some sustain, but I also want a lot of like deep fatness to the floor tom, especially for me when I play. This is a lot of times for flow sections, this is a key drum and I want it to actually produce a note versus it just being like a thud, because I almost use it as like an 808 type of thing. So like if I'm like going on a drum groove, I'll go like. And without that sustain, it's not really gonna translate very well. That's basically it. I'll do the same thing for the rack tom. And once I get that in a good spot, listening through the microphones and stuff, I'll go through and kind of take my ears off to hear what the drum's actually doing, and then I'll apply moon gels if I need to, if there's still some weirdness going on. Hopefully that helped and that made sense. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know.